Good morning, guys. MWUSA Season 3, Episode 51. Obviously, the last 3 days have been kind of quiet, not a lot of action, not a lot of ability to make money, but that changes today. So, today's going to be a rough day for a few reasons. First of all, let's start with the weather. It's raining a lot outside, and it is 48 degrees. The low is going to be in the 30s today. So that's one problem slowing us down. Another problem is we have 8 hours of driving for about 3.5 hours of play today. So about 2 to 1 driving to play because I have to be home, because there are multiple kids that have to be picked up from multiple locations at the same time, and we can't do it with one person. So that's another reason why I'm leaving early. So I'm heading out for the day right now. I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to be able to play multiple blackjack sessions today. We'll see how things go. Hopefully some good opportunities pop up, and it's a profitable journey today for all this driving. Tomorrow is going to be a similar journey. Friday is going to be a little bit shorter, and we'll see how things go. So actually right now I'm going to contact someone in the city that I'm going to see if we can collaborate on some stuff, and I'll be back to update you shortly. Alright guys, I am back. So I go into this place and I see this guy that I never really saw before until the last month or so, and now every time I'm in this place I see him in there. He seemed to be the only other advantage player in there. So I walked in, I looked around, I found very little to play. I found one machine that was high risk but positive EV. I took that and lost 150 on that, and then really found pretty much nothing after that for a while. Eventually I came to another game that was another risky game, but it seemed like I had the advantage, and I played that, and I was down on that quite a bit for a long time. At one point I was involved as much as 17 or 1800, and finally ended up getting some big wins toward the end, and ended up leaving ahead $71. So really didn't like that session at all. I played things that I normally would stay away from because there wasn't much else. Although it was positive EV, they're not machines that I like because the variance is so big on them. So, and that was definitely demonstrated. I mean, sometimes you're doing the right thing, but you can also have a bad outcome at the end, because you're doing something on a high risk machine with high variance, and you could end up pretty much losing all of it. But luckily for me, I was able to claw my way back, and everything turned out okay. So I spent a little bit more time in there than I wanted to. Spent about 40 minutes in there, only because I was chasing the one big prize. Anyway, right now 46 degrees. I did eat something. What did you eat today, MW? Sausage McMuffins. So I got gas, of course, using my Upside app, and I got like 18 cents back per gallon, which is really important right now because gas prices are up, and it's hard to find anything under $3 a gallon. But next door to it was a McDonald's. So while I was getting gas, I did my usual order of 2 sausage McMuffins, which used to be $1 each, now are 2 for $3 or $2 each. So I got 2 of those. I ate those in the car on the way to that first casino. And here we are. Now we are facing what we wanted to face in the first place, which is an opportunity to play some blackjack. Right now I am still 50 miles away from my next stop, where I'll finally get to start playing blackjack. Unfortunately, I'm only going to have like 2.5 hours in the city because it's so far away. because on my way home I want to stop at one other place for about 30 or 35 minutes. So we'll be squeezing out every minute that we can. I'm going to run through the slots very quickly at this next stop, and then we're going to go try to hit it hard on the blackjack. So letting you go for now. I'll be back to update you soon. Okay guys, I am back. So unfortunately I still have not gotten to my next place, and time is ticking here. So what happened was I got stuck in traffic, and basically a 4-lane highway was reduced to 1 lane because in the middle of the morning, the busiest time of the day, they had a machine scrubbing the paint off the road. So the lines, the dashes in the middle of the road, it was scrubbing those off because they were going to change the lanes. So in the middle of the day, the worst possible time, they had this machine shutting down 3 of the 4 lanes so it could remove these painted lines that were on the road. So unfortunately this is hurting a lot here, but I'm finally back to full speed, and I still will not be at the next place for another 50 minutes still. So I was stuck in traffic forever. So right now, letting you go, and hopefully have some good news for you here in a minute. Alright guys, I am back. Just getting back to the car right now. Whew. A little brisk out there when you're not wearing a coat. But yeah, I walked in that place and started looking at slot machines first. I went to the same machines in the same order as I always do. It's funny, but I ended, I was ahead like $20 or so on slots at that point. So plus $20, I go back to the high limit area, and another kick in the you-know-where. No more $50 tables. So I asked about it, and they said, oh, the $50 tables are now low limit. So they have the $100 tables and above. $100, $200, $500, and $1,000 tables is what they have in the high limit. So there's someone's gonna have a nice surprise when they come back out. They have their lights on, and their car's in the parking lot all by itself in the corner. So that's gonna be fun for somebody. So I ended up not being able to play high limit, and I go to the low limit area. $50 tables weren't available yet, so ended up playing a lesser table and played for a while. And at one point I was ahead like 550, exactly 550 actually, and I had a big running negative count, so I decided to take a walked back around, looked at slots again, and played a few more things, and ended the slot session ahead a total of $71. So I left plus 550 on the blackjack and plus 71 on the slots. It actually did not take me a lot of time to do it, but I had no other tables to go to. The session was going all right, but I had a big negative count. I was by myself. It was early in the shoe. I just didn't feel like sitting through all that when I was already doing well. So I ended up taking a walk. So moving on now to the next place. And this place generally is a very busy place. I don't expect it to be too busy today. So I'll have more opportunities, hopefully. Whenever they have a lot of big things going on, lots of specials and things, it draws in the advantage players as well. So hopefully they won't be there today. So I ended up this session plus 550 on the blackjack, plus 71 on the slots, and then I got a reply back from my friend. He's busy all day today, but maybe we'll hook up in the next couple days somewhere, whether it's here or somewhere else. So yeah, that's what's going on right now, and I'll be back to update you after my next stop. I guess before I do that, I guess I didn't really tell you anything that happened. While I was playing blackjack, I had neutral counts most of the time. Was not able to raise my bet very much. I got to a true one time, and other than that, was just playing negative counts and had some positive variance on the negative counts. So can't really take big credit for winning money because of my counting ability. It was all variance, basically. I'm trying to think, when I raised my bet, I had my second lowest bet out there 3 or 4 times in a row, I think. And I think I ended up having a double down push, and then lost the next one. Another double down was a push, and lost the next one, and had another double down push, 3 in a row, followed by a loss. And that's when it actually took me negative. But other than that, like I said, it's, if I had just played variance as a ploppy, I would have done better, unfortunately. So anyway, I am pulling off this next exit. See an allegedly homeless guy with a sign that he's holding, and I see a guy with his car completely torn up because it looks like his tire exploded or something, but he's on the side of the road and it looks like he's down to the rim. So things could always be worse, guys, no matter what. I'll be back. Okay, guys, I am back. So a lot has happened. Unfortunately, I'm running really low on time. So let's see here. I walk into this place, I'm checking out the slots first. I see a couple plays, play them through, nothing like exceptional, just short, like 5 or 6 spin type plays, and I'm up like $106. I play some blackjack, I go back to slots, I play some blackjack, I go back to slots, and by the time I was through, slot-wise, I was ahead $96. So now let's talk about what happened in between. So the high limit area had one blackjack table open, and the other table, that table was full. The other 2 tables were opening, but not quite open yet, so I couldn't play there. I ended up playing in the low limit area, and I've mentioned, and those who know me know what I'm talking about, I've mentioned a progressive side bet that's available on blackjack that, in my opinion, is positive EV, and I've proven it. I think it's definitely a good bet. So it was in a position where it would be a good bet, and it's only available in the low limit. So it used to be available in both, but now it's just a low limit. So I played it, played one hand, and as soon as my hand ended, it showed that it was pending a payout. And I thought, did I just win this? It's like $500, and it's a $5 side bet, and it's frozen up, and they can't figure out who won, but allegedly it wasn't me, so I guess I believe them, because they couldn't tell at first whose it was. So I didn't win that, but I was only in for $5 to try to win this 500, because I was only in it for one hand, and then it was over. So, but I stayed at that table for a while, and it just was grinding. No like big ups or downs or anything like that. It was just a boring grind. No weird hands, no exceptional hands, nothing like that to really talk about. And then at the end of a shoe, I was exactly 500. Yeah, exactly 500 ahead. And I ended up taking a walk. So as I'm walking, I see, and I take a picture of their new roulette wheel that has the 000 on there, and how awful the payouts on there and everything are. I think the table is configured in a different way also. There's an extra spot on there to account for that 0, obviously, on top, but there's actually another place where you can bet all 3 zeros that pays 11 to 1 instead of 13 to 1, which is what the true odds would be. And as I'm walking by, this guy with a like all red tracksuit is sitting there, and he's talking to me like, "How's it going? You winning?" I'm like, I start complaining about the roulette. You always want to complain when you're in a casino. You don't want to be the only guy who's winning in there. So I'm complaining to him about that. I go get myself a soda, go to the bathroom, freshen up, and then I go back to the high limit area, and they've opened up. So I bought in for 500 on the low limit. I colored up to 1,000, so I've got $1,000 in chips in my pocket. I go to the high limit area, I buy in with cash. There's a reason that I did that, but so I buy in with cash back there. There's 3 tables open now, and no one on any of the 3 tables. I thought to myself, all right, well, I get to pick here. I can't blame anybody but myself. So actually none of them had the cut card in, so I would have cut any of the 3. So I sit down and buy in for 500, and not much is happening. I lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 1, but it keeps me right around between even and down 300 or 400. I don't get to the point where I lose the whole 500. My high at that table was like plus 100, and then the count started going negative and negative and negative, and it was a running minus 18 about a third of the way through the shoe, and through a shoe, and I decided to switch tables. So I said, you know what, I'm going to give this guy a try. So at that point, I think I was exactly even. I had $500. So I moved over to the next table, and that one was horrendous. It always seems like you have one shoe that's really good or really bad. Well, I moved over just in time to start my bad shoe, and by the end of the first shoe, I go from being even to being down like 2,200, somewhere in there, and keep playing, next shoe, and all of a sudden, okay, wait, let me back up here. Before I went to the high limit, I was walking by some slot machines, and the same guy that stopped me before I went to the bathroom stops me again and asks me if I'm winning or not. And of course I said no. And he's like, man, I got this friend, and I'll show you how you could double up your money right now. I'm like, really? How do you do it? And he's like, okay, look at my phone here. A friend of mine, he gave me $50 to play this craps bubble machine, and look, here's a picture. And he showed me a picture of someone that had $1,050 in there. I'm like, man, how do you do it? Do you just bet that don't come? And he's like, no, man, I'll show you. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm going back to the blackjack area. So I go back there, blah, blah, blah. First table, move to the second table. So after I play a couple shoes at the second table, this guy appears out of nowhere, and he's just standing there watching me play, and I'm losing and losing and losing. So after that shoe is over, the next shoe starts, and the pit boss, who likes me now, just because we've talked about stuff in the past, and she thinks that I'm a good guy and all that, which I am. Who said I wasn't a good guy? So she... Oh, hold on one second. All right, where was I? So she steps in and she says, hey, if you'd like to sit down and play, you're welcome to start playing. And she goes, the new shoe? And he goes, nah, man, I'm all right. I'm waiting for someone. And she said, well, if you're not going to play, this area is only for players only. And he's like, what if I'm waiting for somebody? She goes, but you're not, are you? She got guts, man. She said, but you're not, are you? And he's like, nah, man. So she leaves, and he stands there for about another 30 seconds and finally moseys his ass out of there, and I'm left in my misery. So at this point, we go through a couple more shoes, and I'm getting these terrible things are happening to me. I'm doubling and pushing on doubles, big doubles, like I'm doubling, 8-3 and getting a 10. The dealer has a 4 and pulls out a push, repeatedly. And you can't win like that. I'll have 2 face cards, and the dealer will have 2 face cards. And that's like the worst thing that could happen, because your count's going down and your 2 face cards produce no money for you. Anyway, the dealer's getting these cards with aces. Like, one was... Let me see if I can piece this together in my head. It was like ace, 4, 8, ace. So whatever it was, it ended up being a 17, and I had a 16 because he had a 4 up, and it's just disgusting hands. Ace, 5, ace, 5, all these different things with aces were killing me. And finally, I'm involved for 3,500. I finally get a good count going. I've got 1,000 in front of me. I do a $500 bet. I get a 20. Dealer has a blackjack. Of course he does, right? Of course he does. Now I got $500 left on the table. I put it out there. The count is still good, and I end up losing that hand. I don't remember what misery happened, but I end up losing that hand. So now I've got all my, I've got more money, but it's in rubber bands in my pocket, and I could reach in and fiddle with it and mess with it and hope I get it. I don't want to pull out all this cash. So I reach in my back pocket. I've got a 5,000 stack, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got those two $500 chips. So I end up putting out a purple chip, a $500 chip, and I end up winning the hand. And that was the last hand of the shoe. So I said, give me 5 black. He gives me 5 black and put the purple back in my pocket. We start the next shoe, start playing. Same thing happens again. At the end of the next shoe, I'm losing. 500, 500. I pull out a purple, I lose it. Pull out another purple, I win. Now I've got my 2 purples back. I ask for black chips. I still play 500 a couple more hands, and I win both of those. Now I'm up to a total of 2,000. So at this point, I've got the pit boss convinced that I'm in for 4,000, not 3,500. And he's like, yeah, I didn't think she got that one in, or one of the buy-ins in. So he adjusted it to 4,000. I move over to another table, and as a friend of mine at that table, he's a dealer, but he's a good guy. We talked about, actually before I left, we talked about getting dinner together sometime and getting our schedules in order to be able to talk. So I go over to his table, and I raise my spread from 1 to 5 to 1 to 10. It's still a $100 table, and right away things are getting better. I'm winning, and I got within 400. I got a $300 hand out there. I get an ace. I'm like, come on, 10, and I don't get it. Which actually, so I was $400 away from the number I gave them, so I was ahead 100. But I continued playing. I had a couple more shoes, up and down, and finally ended up leaving after a big hand, big double down hand, like a $400 double down hand. Oh, I had one earlier that I had a $400 double down on a 9 against a 6 and lost. No, I pushed that one, and that was a big heartbreaker. But this one was another double down with an 11 against a 10, and I'm like, man, I almost didn't do the right thing, but I did the right thing, and I get a 10, so I got a 21, and the dealer has whatever, and turns over whatever to make 11, and then makes 12, and then makes 14, and then 16, and finally gets a 22, and I'm like, thank you. And I ended up leaving ahead exactly 500 more. So 500 on the low limit, 500 on the high limit. So now I've got 5,000 in chips, and at 3,000 they ID you. I'm looking at the clock. I'm already late. So I usually put my home in, not the place I want to go to, because the place I want to go is closer. So it looks like I'm running late when I'm not yet, and it makes me get up off my butt and get off the tables. But right now I've got the right address in, and I am exactly on time if I stop nowhere else. But I'm in a slowdown here right now, and I see flares everywhere. This is not a good thing. And now I'm going to be a minute late, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I've got $5,000 in chips, and I go to the high limit cashier. I've got 2,500 ready to go, and it's closed. And I'm like, because they have a high limit, a low limit, and this one has a poker room. But I try not to cash more than 1,000 in the poker room, maybe 1,500. So I go to the low limit cashier. Every one of them is closed except for one. There's a long line. I'm checking out the clock. I'm like, like a young kid that has to go to the bathroom but won't admit it. You're like, hopping on one foot and hopping on the other foot, back and forth. I'm all nervous. Finally get my turn, cash out 2,500. I go back to the high limit cashier, and he's finally open, cash out 2,500 there. And now I'm leaving, And on my way out, of course, I go by some slot machines just to verify there's nothing there. I can't help it. I'm sorry. And finally cash out my voucher, and I get out of there. So all in all, I ended up ahead 96 on the slots and 1,000 on the blackjack there, which is okay. I really wished I had more time because there's other good casinos in this area that I wanted to hit today, but there's just no chance of it. I was at that table way too long. So right now I am stopped in traffic. I'm now running 3 minutes late, and I'm gonna just get going here a little bit, and I'll come back and update you here shortly. All right, guys, I'm on the open road now. I wanted to tell you a few things that happened in there, interesting things. So while I was in there, I told you about the guy with the dice pop-o-matic bubble thing, and I'm back in the high limit area. And I told you a couple weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, about these two Indian guys that walked to the table and put a giant bet on a baccarat table that went against everybody else's bet and won big, whatever. It was like 5,700 or some crazy thing like that, and they ended up winning. So I see this guy, and he's standing behind the baccarat table just staring at it and like pacing back and forth and stuff like that. And he's answering text messages and watching the table and stuff. And then he gets a call, and it's all quiet behind me because the Asians aren't screaming that they want a hand yet. And I hear him say, "Big meeting, I'm in a big meeting, I'm in a big meeting, leave me alone, this is a big meeting." And all the pit bosses started laughing like crazy, like they couldn't hold themselves. They start laughing. And one dealer goes, "Yeah, that's what I told my wife this morning when I left the house. I'm going to a big meeting." And pit bosses were laughing and stuff. And then the guy actually walks over and talks to one of the pit bosses and was telling them about how rich he was, and he owns 2 locations of something, one in this state and one in the adjacent state. I don't know what it is, but he said his dad runs one of them and he runs the other one, and he's very rich, very, very rich. Don't worry about me, I'm very rich. So anyway, that was hilarious to see him screaming, "I'm in a big meeting." Okay, so then on my way out also, so I think maybe, I don't know if it was the same day when that happened with the baccarat table, but around that time frame, I was leaving this casino, and I saw 2 ladies. Both of them I know very well from playing blackjack with them, but now they play lower limit, and they play at a different casino than they used to play. And last time they were both sitting next to each other, and today they were both sitting in the same 2 chairs next to each other again. So as I'm leaving, they always have to say hi to me. "Hey baby, how you doing? I hope you're winning. We're just trying to get our money back," and all this stuff, which, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate people actually wanting you to win, because most of the time these places are all about people who are mad if someone else is winning because they're losing. So I appreciate those ladies. I like those ladies. We just never play blackjack anymore because they play lower limit now than they used to before. So, and at least one of them has had problems, and I remember her saying, I'm down 18,000. I was supposed to take the money to the bank. I brought it here and stuff like that. So people have problems. When you see people at the high limit areas, don't think always that they're necessarily rich. They could be anything. So many different things going on in people's lives. So have mercy on people when you can. Believe me, they're going to need it. Anyway, all right, moving on. There is one place that I have free play on the way back, and I don't even think I have enough time to get it, even to go in and play some stupid machine just to turn it into a quick $50 or $100, but I don't think I have enough time. So I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to get out at least another hour and see where I am, see how the traffic is, and then decide what to do from there. So I'll be back. All right, guys, I am back. So I did continue on, and after about an hour and a half, I picked up about 6 minutes or 7 minutes, and I was in decent shape, so I pre-ordered some food. What did you eat today, MW? Chipotle. So I had Chipotle chicken bowl, extra rice, extra beans, medium chili, sour cream, cheese on top, and it was really good. Pretty full bowl. When you can ask for those extras for free, and that's what I do. So from there, I continued on my trip home, and my wife called me, and she said, change of plans, it's going to be 15 minutes earlier now. And I said, no, it's not. So, and they moved the location further. So I'm actually going to get there 1 minute after I was originally supposed to get there, even though I'm going further than was expected. So anyway, getting close. Glad to be back home again, and we'll continue everything tomorrow. It stinks that I couldn't get a couple more sessions in, because I really would have liked to, but that's just the way things are, and you work with what you have. So I'll see you tomorrow. If you have any questions or comments, the email is mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com. See you tomorrow.